And we're moving on, and I have my pleasure to introduce our next guest and our next speaker. It's Fiona Mauchline, a wonderful woman, a writer, a teacher, known in Ukraine mostly for being a co-author of a secondary course book, All Clear for Ukraine. Fiona is going to share very I think your topic is very urgent for now. Remotedness.
Vocabulary anyway, yes. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I was glad that I wasn't dancing near the end of Jane's talk because I was quite tired afterwards, but such good fun. I am Scottish, so I really enjoyed it. It's a real honor to be here. I was quite emotional when you were all saying hello and where you were from at the beginning of the event. I was glad I wasn't speaking first. So I'm going to start sharing my slides, but I would like to say, if Jane's listening, I love Jane's laugh. I don't know if everybody else felt the same, but it felt so infectious to be listening to Jane and her laugh. It was wonderful. My slides for you are very simple and very basic, because I figured that if we're teaching online, I'm using the Zoom room mostly in my work, not always, but it's generally Zoom. I figured that I'll keep my slides to the absolute basic, because then you can see, you can use the same kind of techniques. All the photos on it I've taken myself. Anything I've added, I've either made it in Microsoft. There's nothing complicated at all. All right. There's a couple of slides you might want to screenshot, and even my own photos, you're welcome to screenshot them. Right, I have 10 activities for you. I hope I don't end up speaking too quickly. So before I start, though, I would say I have worked with many teachers from Ukraine. There's so many of you here. I don't know if any of my previous trainees are here, but if you are, hello, and hugs for everybody anyway, for all of you watching as well. I'm going to take you through the different features of Zoom and structure the 45 minutes that way. The first feature of Zoom I'm going to be talking about is the annotation button. Now, in Zoom webinar, right now you can't see it. But if you're teaching in Zoom and one of the other platforms, I can't remember which, I'm sorry, there is the option for you and your students to annotate and put stamps on slides that are being shared. So at the moment I can do that, but you can't. I was trying when Jane was speaking, all right, it doesn't work. So, oops, now I can't move my slides, brilliant. So the first activity is this, and we're going through annotation. So imagine it's the beginning of the class. The students are arriving. Teams, somebody says teams, thank you. The students are arriving. Of course, they don't necessarily all arrive at the same time. So you might want to have an activity on the screen for them to do as they come in, and if they're waiting for other students. So you can put some vocabulary in a box. It can either be vocabulary they know already, it can be new vocabulary, but the idea is that you ask them to use the stamp option in the annotation button, and I'll show you, I'll do it myself, but next time you're in Zoom, have a go. You'll find there's a stamp button, and then you ask them to select words, but to make an emotional connection with them. So for example, it could be very simple. It could be, if you were food, if you were made of 3 kinds of food, what 3 kinds of food would you be? Anybody? Fritter? Ah, yeah, I'll come to fritters in a moment, Oksana. What 3 kinds of food would you be? I think hopefully I might be honey, so I've put a stamp. Can you see my stamp? And I might be cherries sometimes because they're a little bitter. And maybe beetroot. Because I'm quite big and quite earthy. Dumplings, carrot and pickles. Somebody would be done. I like that. Honey, carrot and cheese. You see, now if you had your stamps, if you had the annotate button, you would choose a stamp from where it says stamp, and you choose a color and you would stamp on the words on the screen. And then as your students do this, you can see which words they understand, and you can see which ones you might need to review if it's vocabulary you've done before. Or, then I need to click the eraser. I also use this with the words that I'm presenting for the day, and I'll get them to say, which word looks the funniest? Which word do you think looks the funniest here? Which word, if you try to say it, which one sounds funniest? So we've got dumplings, yeah. And they connect with the words before. I sometimes do this when I'm training teachers, I do it with Catalan words so that they just connect with the sound. But try it. Fritters is a funny word as well. So I can also say to students, stamp the words you know, one color, and stamp the words you want to know with a different color. And they don't have to stamp all the words. So they're selecting the words. So somebody earlier said fritters. So they might stamp that with the color for, blue is for I want to know what fritters are. Fritters are when you fry, for example, I sometimes make corn fritters. You mix corn and very, very cold water and flour and egg, and you put it in oil, hot oil. Or in Spain, I lived in Spain for 30 years. I know Dave very well from Spain. They do fantastic fritters with little mini prawns. So just a sort of a fried thing. Anyways, you can do that, lots of things with these grids at the beginning of the lesson, in the middle of the lesson, when you want a quiet moment, etc. But it really helps you as the teacher find out what words they know well, what they don't know well. But it also helps them connect with the vocabulary. So it can be vocabulary that you're reviewing or new vocabulary. Helps them connect with it. There's some ideas there on the screen. I'm just going to move the chat box 1 second because I can't read my own slides. Because vocabulary, we need to personalize vocabulary when we teach it. It's a little bit like the paintings and the pictures in your house or the photos on your telephone, in the sense that maybe somebody gives you a picture, maybe you got pictures from the past, but really the only ones that you keep, the ones that you have around you, they all mean something to you. You like them, or they've got a special connection. And I'm sitting here in my living room, as you can see, there's some pictures behind me. I took those photos when I lived in Spain. I have a painting over there that was my mother's. I have a drawing here by a friend. I don't have the stuff that I don't need, want, or like. Same with the photos on the phone. You delete the ones, don't you? You take all these photos and then you delete a lot. That's just like learning vocabulary. We teachers present the vocabulary, the learner accumulates a lot and deletes the stuff they don't want, they don't like, or they feel they don't need. So getting them to connect with the vocabulary using these grids is a really good way to help them personalize. That's why I use the trick of saying, which one do you think sounds nicest? I'll also often ask, and I think many teachers do, which word do you think will be the most difficult to learn? Which word will be the hardest to remember? Of course, while they're thinking about it, they're learning it, they're remembering it. Because I'm thinking about personalizing though, as well as teaching vocabulary, for students learning vocabulary. A lot of my other activities are going to be about reviewing language or getting language from the student. Let me just, I think somebody else's microphone is open, I'm not sure. Let me just move to my next slide. Apart from words, of course, we can use photos. And I hope you can see the link there. These photos are taken from a resource that was put together by teachers of English for teachers of English. All right, that's the link. The albums within Flickr are organized according to English teacher categories. So animals, as you can see, I took my photos from the animals category, but there's phrasal verbs and there's phonemes and there's adjectives and there's ing forms and emotions and places and looking up and looking down. There's lots. There are, I think, 27,000 and something photos, all categorized for you to be able to use online. So that helps you with finding photos for things. I put the photos together, and then the same type of activity with the stamps, but they don't need to know the words for those things. Do you know the names of all those animals? Somebody's saying, they say that if kids can pronounce and remember the word Tyrannosaurus, they can remember anything. Yes. And I'm a mother, and my experience is if they can remember 200 Pokemon's names, they can remember anything as well. No, I fully believe children can remember anything they want to. This is why I need to make them want to, all right? Teenagers in this case. With this type of grid, I'll get them to think and stamp to make categories. So you can do lots of things here. You can say, I want you to group some animals together for your classmates to guess what the connection is, right? So for example, they might stamp, now I've lost my annotation button. I can't annotate suddenly, sorry. I would stamp, for example, there it is. Sorry, my Zoom is being temperamental. I'm going to see if you can see this. Can you see where I'm stamping? There's a yellow one there, a yellow one there, 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 and there. It's a little bit pale. Can you see them? What do you think my categories are? My category is, rather. By doing this, the students don't need to know how to say the animals. They need to express what the animals have in common. So this reptiles, sea animals, exactly, they're connected to water, right? So water animals, in a sense, all right? Or I could do a little quick test, and I could say, and it would be comprehension of numbers even. Which animals got no legs? Which animals got 10 legs? And they have to stamp as fast as they can. Okay, so that's just using photos, but again, they don't need to know, for example, that a baby goose is a gosling or a baby cat is a kitten. You can use it in other ways. And that resource will help you find photos for it. That's something else. That's annotation. Next thing, and I still have some stars on my screen. Let me clean my stars. You are the stars. We don't need stars on the screen. 1 second. Animation. So if I'm preparing slides for my students, of course in PowerPoint, I have the option to add animation. And I can do lots of things with that. So here's something else for animation. I'll show you a word. In the chat box, please type what you think the next word will be. It will be connected. All right. What do you think the next word will be? What's the next word? Language. Somebody says language. Somebody says language. Somebody says tea. Okay, I like it. German. So we've got language, tea, German. Any more words? Theatre. Nice. Queen. Oh, yes. She's very much a topic at the moment. Drawing, literature. I'm getting lots of vocabulary coming into the chat box. I'm going to show you the second word, and you'd guess, the first word and the second word and the third word are connected. What do you think the third word is? Cartoon, teacher, tradition. What do you think the third word is? Italian, culture. Guitar, maybe. Cuisine, English cuisine, Spanish cuisine, could be French. Here's the third word. They are connected. What do you think the fourth word is? All three words are connected. Subject, culture, lesson. Okay, subject, education, school. Okay, now Ukrainian. We're gradually moving, and I'm getting a lot of vocabulary. I can't say it. Vocab. I'm getting a lot of vocab in the chat. So my next word was, let's see if anybody wins a point. Ready? Here we go. Geography. Right. Okay, so we've got English, Spanish, Maths, Geography. And what's my fifth word, do you think? I'll give somebody earlier, somebody before would get a point. So the last one is technology. And somebody said IT. If you're the person who wrote IT, you can go mwah, mwah, and give yourself a hug. You got the point. Of course, when you're working in Zoom, you can download the chat, and your students can download the chat. I've got 5 words on my screen. I don't know how many words are in the chat box, but there are a lot. So we can then download that chat and ask students to put the words into categories, circle the words they don't know, could put them into breakout rooms and get them to categorize together. But there's a lot just from 5 words on the screen. Okay. You can do it as well with spelling. So I'm going to show you a letter, and in the chat box, please guess what my word is. Right? So I think, I can't remember, I think there's 5, but it's all one word. I gradually build the word. This is the first letter. What word do you think it will be? Well, look, come on, what word begins with E? There's the first letter. We've got education, earth, education, egg. Egg's a nice short one. Elephant could be. I feel like an elephant. Zoom teaching. Event, okay. Emotion, e-conference. I'm going to show you the second letter. Keep typing. Oops. Come on, Zoom. There we go. There's the second one. Animation in the sense of Zoom room, Ludmila. When you're making your PowerPoint, you use the button that says animation. In English, it says animation, to make your slide information appear slowly. All right, evidence, evacuation, lots of words, lots of words. Here's the next. There's the next. We're building it slowly. Evening, yeah, doing well, event. Now you see we're lots and lots of words. Eventually. And then one more. Keep going. Everybody, everyone, everybody, even. Elevator, lots of words. And the last one is, and some people can go, moi, because my word was eventually. So if you wrote eventually, and some of you did, you get points. Give yourself a hug. Right? Now, I think it was somebody called Ludmila. You asked, what's the connection with animation? It is that the slide is using the animation option when I'm creating it, right? So it's not something within Zoom, but it is within PowerPoint, and I'm using, it's just simple tools that I have because I'm working online, but they're not complicated tools, they're not special apps, special software, they're just the basics because I don't have time Right? There's not much time for preparing really complicated things. You can also use the similar technique to get students to predict, but also combine with them putting them in breakout rooms. Grzegorz is saying, where in Zoom can you find annotation? In the normal Zoom, you can't do it in this Zoom. This is Zoom for webinars. In the normal Zoom meetings, when you're sharing slides, look at the toolbar and you have microphone, camera, participants, chat box, etc. And it's to the right, all right? It's between share screen and the end, okay? As a teacher, you might need to activate it so that your students can see it, but it's in the normal Zoom. In webinar, I'm the only one who can annotate, I'm sorry. Have an experiment with it when you're next in Zoom, normal Zoom, okay? Breakout rooms, you know how to use. I am not going to put all of you into breakout rooms. Okay. But using the same technique, now this is higher secondary vocabulary. This is from a Macmillan, an old Macmillan coursebook that I had called Upgrade. Again, I show them the words slowly. They guess the topic this time, not guessing the next word, but guessing the topic. So this is at the beginning of a chapter or beginning of a unit. And I show them, or beginning of a lesson, I show them the vocabulary and they anticipate the topic. I'm just checking my time. So for example, coordination and stamina, what would you think this topic would be? What do you think the unit is about? Any idea? Sport. Yeah, very good. Yeah. What kind of sport? It's a particular group of sports. Coordination, stamina, concentration, muscle tone, athletics, and flexibility, gymnastics. Ironman is close. Yes, it was about extreme sports. It was a unit in Upgrade, which was for upper secondary, on extreme sports. So I gave my students the first half of the vocabulary, and then I put them into breakout rooms of 3 to guess the other 5 words on the list. Now, they're not working from the book, so they don't know, they can't go and look it up in the book. They're in breakout rooms, so I cannot monitor them all efficiently, as you know. But if they go onto Google and find 5 new words in English, do I care? Is that a problem? It's giving them more vocabulary, and they're going to come back into the classroom and share. The other thing is with breakout rooms, I don't know if you do the same, but my experience, I mean, I've been working 8-10 hours a day in Zoom for the last 2 years, not for the last 2 months, thankfully, finished in March, but and I found that if I don't tell my students the truth when I put them into breakout rooms. I tell them that they have, for example, 2 minutes, and I give them 3 minutes. If I tell them they've got 3 minutes, they're going to dream or something for a minute and only start chatting the last when they see that countdown thing that says you have 59 seconds. So I always tell them they have a little less time than they really have. That's just my experience, all right? Keep them more on topic. So they would guess together, they'd anticipate the next 5 words, come back, we'd share their ideas in the chat box and then compare. That was them, all right? I didn't do that one with you, similar to the others, okay? So that's animation 2 breakout rooms. Then, so we've looked at annotating. We've looked at animation, as I say, it's animation on PowerPoint. And then chat box cascades. Now, Cascade is similar to what you just did, except When I ask the question, I ask my students to wait and think, and wait and think. And then when I say 3, 2, 1, type, then they type. The reason I do that is because I want everybody to participate. And in my experience with teenagers in particular, if I don't do that, it's always the same 2 or 3 people that type first, and the others sit and wait, and then either copy or don't type, or I have to say, I don't know, for example, Misha, where is your answer? And I have to chase. Whereas if I say 3, 2, 1, type, and then I give points to the whole class for each answer so that I get as many answers as possible. And we have a system of points and pom-poms for the team. And if they all get the if all the pom-poms, I'm not going to explain this fully right now, but if they reach a certain number of points in the group, then at the end of the lesson, we have a game or a short video or something. I'm going to do a couple of cascades with you to try it. I'm going to give you a word, and in the chat box, you'll type words that sound the same, that rhyme with that word. All right? So I will ask the question, and I will give you 3 seconds, and then I will count and clap. All right? So please don't type yet. Think of words that rhyme with cascade. All right? The second half. Cascade. Think for a moment. What are words that rhyme with the aid part? Cascade. 3, 2, 1, type. Yay. Look at it go. And it's cascade because it's going, and we get a lot of words in there. Look at it, lemonade. Lemonade's got to be the most popular. Blockade. Okay, yeah. Promenade. Blade. Template. Fade. Grade, made, blade, late. Could be late. Plate. Participate. Slight difference in the ending there, but I will accept them. Glade. And again, I have a tremendous list of words that I can use. I can also see, for example, in class, that I say cascade. There's a lot of words there with 8, which would tell me I could do some work on the difference between the final D and T sounds. Great, says somebody. Braid, exactly. It gives me words. I can put the students again in groups to teach each other words if they know them. We can select some words and say, now put them in a dialogue and say the dialogue so that they're actually practicing saying them as well. Choose 5 words from the chat box, and in breakout rooms, prepare a little sketch, etc. All right, so that sounds with the cascade. Now we're going to do another cascade with a photo. All right. The photos I use for this kind of activity are always in black and white, or they don't have many colors. Because when you use colored images, the color occupies a lot of the brain's cognitive functions. So if you use color images, it's better for memory games, right? The memory games have strong colors. The color will fix in the mind, and but it will occupy some of the imagination. If you're in I don't know, if you're in the street and there are a lot of people there and they're wearing dark colors and one person is wearing a pink coat, you notice that person, and that's because color draws the attention. So to leave cognitive space for the imagination, it's better to use black and white photos. Okay. So I'm going to show you a photograph in a moment. And we're going to engage the 6 senses using this picture. All right. I'll explain the 6th in a moment. Okay. The other advantage of using the sentences with the senses with images is that the senses trigger or activate the parts of the brain that are responsible for memory, for long-term memory. So when you activate the senses in the classroom, you're helping to form memories. Now, on Zoom, we can activate the senses, even though we're a long way away. If I say to you, imagine the smell of a swimming pool, your brain will do that. It will start to look for the memory of a smell, because just as we have inner eyes and we can see things in our mind, and we can hear, you know, when you're listening, you can hear a song in your head. We can smell things, we can taste things. So we can activate those senses in the classroom, even in the Zoom classroom. The 6th sense is the perception of movement. Okay, so in cognitive, in the brain, we have taste, smell, touch, sight, hearing. We also have the perception of movement, which means that, for example, when I have my eyes closed, I can still touch my fingers together. I was worried I wasn't going to do it there. But that's the 6th sense. We have a perception of space and motion. So I'm going to show you this picture. I'd like you to look at it. I'll give you time just to imagine all the movement the photographer can perceive. Right? Think about the movement first. And then when I say 3, 2, 1, type in the chat box, please type your ideas. For example, dancing, which is not there. Ready? Oops, where's my photo? Look. Movement. Will the photographer perceive movement? 3, 2, 1, type, please. Looking, waving, yeah, exactly. His hands are moving, aren't they? But what about the photographer playing the piano, sleeping? Oh, he's scaring, directing an orchestra. He could be, couldn't he? Standing, shaking. Yeah, you see, there's lots of gerunds of movement there. Moving, catching a ball, exercising, exactly. Now let's stop with the moving and try another one. Think about the photographer, not about the man that you see, the photographer. What do you think the photographer can hear? Right, wait a moment, don't type yet though, please. Move into hear. Imagine the sounds. Close your eyes if you want. What sounds? 3, 2, 1, type, please. Sounds, praying, train, walking, tram, silence. Bells, exactly. Breathing, wind, silence, hustle, yeah. Birds singing, could be at night, yeah. Fireworks, oh nice. Steps, of course, footsteps, street music, yeah. Oh no, the train, okay. Or just the man. The man was actually, this was in Budapest. This is a friend of mine who you might know called Mark Andrews, giving me the history of Budapest. So again, you see in the chat box, we have a lot of vocabulary we've generated. Trying to do my maths on the time. I've got 10 more minutes. We're okay. Phew. Birds flying. Yeah, lots of vocabulary. Now I can also expand on this. So I can either download the chat and use it with the students, or we can just scroll the chat, discuss it. I can get the students into breakout rooms. They take a photo. It's easier than trying to share in breakout rooms, as you probably know. If they've got phones, they can take a photo. They go into the breakout room and they can prepare together a description of the picture. And the description, if you include the movement, the sounds, and the thing, all these are from your imagination. Look, we've got police cars. We've got hope. And so they can incorporate that into a description. Description will be so much richer. I've used techniques like this and visualization with my teenagers for the last 10 years, more or less. And their writing is so much better because they have vocabulary. We work the vocabulary first. We work the ideas first. Because, you know, a lot of the students will say, describe a picture. What do I say? There is a train. There are 3 people. There is a building. Finished, and look at all this vocabulary here. We can incorporate that into a much better description, even with very simple grammar. And I'll show you an example of that as well in the next slide, because we can expand this. And like Jane, I like my spidergrams, okay? And like Ben and Ivanti, I like poetry. So bringing the 2 previous sessions together, I can ask my students to write a poem, but I'm going to give them a skeleton. I start off by giving them a spidergram like this. What do I see? What do I hear? So it's see, hear, taste, could be the air. What do I smell? How do I feel? What does it feel like? What does the air feel like? What am I like? How am I feeling? What do I want? What do I love? What do I dream of? That's my spidergram. The center is blank at the moment for a title. I then show them a picture and they imagine that they are the girl. Again, it's one of my own pictures and my own photos. It's a photo of a teacher that I trained and she's allowed me to use the photograph. I made it black and white by using the editing in Word. It's so simple to do. Just go into Word and look at color corrections and things top left in the toolbar, and you can take the color out of photos. Just copy paste into a Word document and edit there, or any of the editing now. There are lots of 3D paint. You can take the color. You can even do it on your phone usually. Excuse me. So then I show the students the image and they're going to imagine what she can see, what she can hear, what she can smell. I'm going to show you the photo and I would like you to imagine what she can see and what she can smell. All right, we don't need it to do all of it. And just pop it in the chat box. Right, so it's see and smell. Just imagine what she can see and smell. Screen is from the previous picture, not this one. Nature, the sea, the sea, the ocean, the sea, what else can she see? Wave. Water, breeze, freshness, we've got all these things she sees. Seashells, flowers, grass, a boat, seawater, field, animals, river. Now we're beginning to expand. And always give it time. I often say to my students, I want them to write at least 5 things or at least 3 things, because the first 2 will be the most obvious. And then they'll really start going into their imagination, looking for more, feel relaxed, escape. The advantage with this, somebody said it there, I missed the name, I think it might have been an Oksana. This type of activity is very relaxing. And of course, life at the moment where you are is very stressful. This type of thing, being able to tap in and imagine something like this, it's a nice place to be for a little while. You're welcome to take a screenshot of that photo. Okay. So when they've completed their, I love some of the ideas, by the way. When they've completed their spidergram, you give them time just to fill in something in each bubble. And then you put them into breakout rooms and they exchange ideas. They discuss it. They will have seen and imagined different things. You've got this huge long chat box, but it's very difficult to follow who said what. Those students who may be less confident can steal ideas from the chat box. You can give them a moment and say, find words to complete your spidergram. Then you put them into breakout rooms with a skeleton of a poem. Now look at it. It is so simple grammatically. It really is a whole poem that they will build with vocabulary. They don't need complicated grammar. And they're creating something and they're working together in the breakout room. And it's depending on the photo you choose, but it's very relaxing. And the accessing the senses will help activate memory. And because it's personal, it's their own ideas, it will also activate learning. If they are lower level, they can look at the image and they can make notes in their own language in the chat box. And then you as the teacher, you can help them replace the Ukrainian words for the English words and you can discuss it together. Or one student won't know the word and another student will know it. So you work together to build the vocabulary, but it's the vocabulary of their own experience of this image. All right, so they build their poem together and then they have something to be proud of as well. Okay. Time is running out and I've nearly finished my activities for you. So this last one is a simple brainstorm activity that I do a lot with my students in gallery view. Gallery view is when I'm going to stop sharing just for a moment. I will come back to my slides in a moment. Gallery view is like this when you see everybody on screen. There are more than 400 people here, so I'm not putting you all on gallery view. But when I am doing brainstorming activities, frequently before a writing activity, for example, before these write an email to a friend, tell them about your hobbies type thing, I want to brainstorm or review vocabulary. And so I'm just going to plug my laptop in. And so I will ask them to find a piece of paper and a pen. And I ask my students all to write down a sport that they think nobody else in the room will think of. Because then we will count how many different sports we have. And as a team, we will get points for each different sport. And so they write their sports down. All right, and they write their sport. Now you can try this if you like, a bit like we couldn't see, thankfully nobody could see me dancing, but I was dancing. You can write down your sports if you like. And then everybody's had their moment. And then we all go 3, 2, 1, and we share like that. And they appear on the screen. Now, the advantage of this paddleboarding, right, is when it's on screen like this, I can see who can spell, And the students can see each other's vocabulary. And if we want, we can do a screenshot with all the words. All right. So this is a nice way of brainstorming when you're in gallery view, but again, written, and it visually, you get a good screen as well. And I'm always surprised how much vocabulary we get because my students cheat. Yes, badminton's a ball day. Exactly, it's a sport. My students cheat, and what happens is they want the points because they want the game at the end of the lesson, for example. So some of them will write 2 sports, and then they'll watch and they'll look, and instead of going like that, they'll go whoop, and they'll show their other sport. Or they'll be a little bit slow, and you see them and they go and they write another one, which is great. I allow cheating because then they're writing 2 sports, not 1. Okay, so that's a way of using the gallery view. And I just have one more activity for you, and then I will finish. Let me just go back to my slides. So that's the brainstorming gallery view, which is all the little rectangles. The other thing I do, oops, come on, PowerPoint, is games. And my favorite games are called Speedy Flash and Slow Reveal. You probably know them in the normal classroom context, but in the Zoom context, they work well as well. Can you actually see me at the moment? I've lost my chat box. I don't know if you can. Can you see me? Yes. Good. I'm going to do a quick speedy flash. And all it is a postcard. I don't need big, complicated pictures. I've got a postcard. I'm going to flip it very, very quickly. And you're going to type very quickly the things that you see. Any words you know. It can be colors, it can be objects, it can be anything you want. All right, you ready? Ready? Very quickly, what is that a picture of? Type in the chat box anything you saw. A park, snow, red, street, road, yes, red umbrella, tree, red, bench. Excellent. Some of these things are not in the picture. It doesn't matter. It's vocabulary. Look at it go. It's going very fast. I'll show it again very slowly, very quickly rather. Ta-da! Umbrella, park. Some people have got really good eyesight. A bench, a path, street lights, stairs. Yeah. Stairs, street, etc. Right, square. One last time. Whoa. Grey, park. Bad weather, pear. Yeah, you see, some people just put colors. It doesn't matter. Everybody can say something. There is a little red, but strangely, the orange is much clearer. Right? There you go. That's the actual picture. That's one very easy game. And the last game for you is slow reveal. And that's where I only have one photo, but I want a lot of vocabulary from it. I have an animal here. There is an animal in my picture. I'm going to show you very slowly, and I'd like you to guess which animal. Type it in the box. I can't find my picture. Where's my picture? Can you see what's sort of reflecting a bit, isn't it? There's a little bit. Can you see? There's a bit of reflection, I'm afraid. A bit of a nose. A bit of an ear. A bit of an ear. A wolf, a rabbit. A fox, a raccoon, a cat, a fox, a tiger, a kangaroo. We're getting a lot of animals already. I've only got one picture. Let's have a look over the other side. Well, there's another ear. Bit of a face. Do you see? Oh, for a koala. Here he comes, here he comes, here he comes, here he comes. Yay! Woohoo! Well done! Pom-poms and hugs! What does the fox say? Ah! Well, one night I heard foxes, I got a real shock. Oof, I found that one out and was very surprised. Now, what you could do if you wanted is go back and count how many animals, and you'll see, let me see, we got cat, rabbit, wolf, that's 3, raccoon, 4, kangaroo, koala, monkey. I'm not going to count, but at least 10 animals with one picture. So that is a way of getting a lot more vocabulary with minimum materials. Okay, so there we go. So that is me. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a complete honor. I'm going to put my email in the chat box. I forgot to put it on my slides. I'm sorry. Bit remiss, but do feel free to contact me. Hold on, I'm just putting it in the chat box. Oops, and it's already gone whoosh up the chat box, so you need to download the chat box. Okay. Thank you so much. Huge hugs again from me. This is my Zoom hugs. All right. Complete honor to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fiona. You've shared a real bunch of wonderful activities and wonderful ideas.
10 activities.
All of them are very easy to implement right now or tomorrow, whatever. No matter what kind of learners we teach, they're all perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for everything you shared, and see you next time, probably again in August. And this is the time to invite our next guest, whom I'm sure everybody knows. It's Dave Spencer, a friend of Ukrainian teachers for more than 10 years. And it happens so that he's also the author of our best-selling course, Gateway. Dave, happy to see you, happy to have you today, and the floor is all yours.
Great to be here. Is it possible to share the screen?
Not yet. Right now, yes.
Okay. Good. I hope everybody can see that and everybody can hear me. Hello, Irina, by the way, I can see your message there. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. As Ina has said, Ukraine is a country that I visited, I think, for the first time 10 years ago. I visited 3 times. I've been lucky enough to visit your country 3 times. I've been obviously to Kiev, I've been to Odessa, I've been to Kharkiv, Odessa, Donetsk, Bilia, Tserkov, and so I feel very honored to be here today with you. In fact, I was calculating the other day that in the last 2 years, I've given 55 webinars, and the first webinar I ever gave was 10 years ago, which is a long time ago. But it seems to me, when I was watching the beginning of this session with Ben, watching obviously Jane's session and Fiona's session, it seems to me that webinars were invented for events like this. Events where, you know, we're able to speak to a whole country, to people who are at all different parts of that country, and also to people who are just outside of that country, who have had to leave that country. So it feels to me like a very, very special occasion, maybe the most important webinar I've ever given in 10 years of giving webinars. So it's a real pleasure. This is also my topic today is, usually I do lots of activities or I talk about new methodology. And today's session is slightly different. Today, what I want to do in my session is simply celebrate how important we are as teachers. And this talk is inspired by you teachers from Ukraine who are doing an amazing job right now in such difficult circumstances. And so today what I want to do is to talk about how we are superheroes in our way. Teachers, I do believe, are superheroes. I'm going to start by some small superpowers that we've got. By the way, my talk today will be, sometimes I will be a little bit lighthearted and sometimes I will be incredibly serious. And I'm going to start out with a little bit of lightheartedness. And I'm going to start by some of the small magical things that teachers can do. Okay, because I think we have lots of magic tricks under our sleeves. And for example, my first magic trick, just tell me in the chat box. I love the chat box. Tell me in the chat box. Just the question is, can you read this? Yes or no? Give it a little bit of time. Irina can read it straight away. Oksana can read it too. Katerina can read it. Some people can't, but a lot of people can, because I believe that this is one of our magic tricks. Okay. I think one of the magical superpowers of teachers is that we can read upside down. Am I right or not? You know, when you're standing in front of the desk and the student is writing something, teachers have an amazing superpower that means that we can read things upside down. Yes, the text says I often have to read my students' work upside down, and I reckon that most of us can do that. Okay, now here's a new superpower which we have developed because of online teaching. I believe that another one of teachers' superpowers is that we can identify students just by seeing the top of their heads, right? We can do that. Or we can even just identify students sometimes just by seeing their ceilings. Okay, that is another. Also, for the last year and a half, I have been teaching mask to mask, and I can identify any student with or without a mask. So that's another one of my superpowers, okay? And I'm sure that your superpowers are the same. Here's another little superpower. Okay, this one I call the teacher's sixth sense. Now, I want you to imagine either you're in class or online, and you ask Ivan a question. Your student's Ivan. You say, Ivan, what's the question? What's the answer to question 6, Ivan? And Ivan says, oh, teacher, that's the only one I couldn't do. I know all of the answers, every single answer, except for the one that you are asking me now. So of course, I then say to my students, I say, okay, well, tell me the answer to number 7 then. And sometimes we see if it's true or not. But I seem to have a special gift. I have a special ability to ask the only student in the class the only question that they didn't know. I think I call that the teacher's sixth sense, an amazing power that I have. Another superpower, a small superpower, but it's an important superpower. I have an invisible English force field. Okay, what does this mean? This means that if I'm in a classroom like this, when I'm close to 2 students at the front of the classroom, they automatically speak in English and they automatically answer the question that I've asked them. But the students at the back of the classroom are talking about football or girlfriends or boyfriends or clothes, and they're talking in Spanish. They're talking in their own language. But the amazing thing that happens with my invisible English force field is that when I move to the back of the classroom, the opposite happens. The people at the back of the class are suddenly speaking in English about what I asked them, and the people at the front suddenly are talking again in their own language. So I believe that English teachers, we have an invisible force field. Wherever we go, wherever we're close to, the students speak in English, and when we're far away, they start to speak in their own language. So we need that special invisible English force field. These are just small powers that we have, okay? I'm going to get onto the big powers in a minute. But another small power, the incredible walking dictionary. Any of you, just tell me in the chat box, are you an incredible walking dictionary? Yes or no? You know what I mean, right? The students are doing an exercise, they're doing a reading exercise, and what does this mean? What does this mean? What's the word for this? How do you say this? How do you say that? We are incredible walking dictionaries. You know, not everybody has this power, but English teachers have this special superpower, okay? So yes, the incredible walking dictionary. Clark Kent, Superman, he has the power of X-ray vision, right? But we as teachers also have the power of X-ray vision. For example, in this situation, we're doing an exam, okay? And this student has a pencil case, okay? And it looks like just any normal pencil case. But because teachers, we have the power of X-ray vision, we can see that inside the pencil case, we have the answers to the exam. So that is another special superpower that all of us teachers have. Another incredible superpower, which I'm sure you agree is a useful power to have, okay? We can spot the cheating from miles away. Right now, those are just some small superpowers that we've got. Now let's start getting more to bigger superpowers. I believe that as teachers, we are all transformers, okay? Now, I'm sure that you've seen some of the films. When I say transformer, I don't really mean one of these small little robots that can change into an aeroplane or a truck or a rocket. No, I think that we are transformers in a much more important way. We are transformers because we can transform students from sad to happy and from half asleep to completely awake. And you've had some great transformers throughout this conference today. You have had Ben and Ivanti, you've had Jane, and you've had Fiona, who've been transforming you, suddenly like waking you up, giving you an activity that makes you active and enthusiastic and participative, with, for example, Jane's dance, with Fiona's vocabulary activities. So I want to prove that we can transform students from being half asleep to completely awake with a little 2 games that I want to do with you today. This one I call a vocabulary avalanche, okay? And I hope you're ready in the chat box to participate here. Very simple game, perfect for the online classroom. Here we go. What you have to do in this game, you have to write a word for the category that I give you as quickly as possible in the chat box. So that sounds easy, but my challenge is that you cannot repeat a word. So if you see somebody writing the same word, if somebody has written the same word in the chat box, you have to think of a completely different word, okay? So no repetition is ever allowed. What I want you to do in the chat box right now is to write down an animal, any animal, which is usually or which can be black, okay? Actually, we've got a cat, but once we've had cat once, we can't have it again, okay? If you wrote down dog again, now you have to think of another one. Right, we've got a puma, we've got a sheep, a black sheep of the family. Nice. Rabbit. Remember, if you wrote down dog or cat, you have to do another word. Okay. Squirrel, black squirrel. Can you have a black squirrel? Gorilla, that's the first time I've seen gorilla, so I'm with you there. Okay, right, this is good. This is good. Raven, that is good. Black slugs, Fiona, really? Do you have black slugs? Oh, you do actually, yes, it is true. Not in Spain, I think. Crow is great. Okay, should we do another one? Let's do another one, okay? The next one is any sport where you use a ball, but no repetition, no repetition, no repetition. Football, yes, but nobody can have another one. Basketball, yes, football is already out. Basketball is out. Ping pong is good. Rugby is good. Badminton is not a ball, by the way, okay? It's a shuttlecock. Baseball is good. Snooker, nice, I like it. Okay, actually my last one, okay, my third category, my last one, any superpower that we can have. Superpowers. What superpower can we have? Flying, exactly. No more flying, okay? Levitation is nice. Teleporting is great. Creativity is a superpower. Telepathy is a superpower. Singing is a superpower, true. Super strength, remember, if it's been repeated, then you have to think of another one. X-ray vision, exactly what I talked about. Okay, this is great. Okay, so I imagine that if you were in my class, whether you're online or in the classroom, I am waking you up and transforming you, okay? Transforming you from being a passive attendee in my class to an active participant. Let's do one other game which does the same. This game I call Ubat, which if you're looking closely, you will notice that that is taboo written backwards, right? Ubat, so it looks like a strange word. It's taboo, exactly, Irina. It's taboo written backwards. What happens with this? There are two variations on the game taboo. We all know the word taboo, the game taboo, right? Where you've got a target word and you've got words that you cannot use in your explanation. And what I've done is I've turned it upside down. I've turned it back to front twice. In this case, I'm going to give you all the taboo words. So I'm going to give you 5 taboo words, and I want you to tell me what is the word that I am explaining. Okay, I hope this is clear. I'm going to tell you the 5 words that I cannot say. So this is taboo backwards. The 5 words that I can't say, tell me what is my target word. So the 5 words are navigation, exploration, travel, world, and treasure. So what is my word? What's the word that I'm trying to explain? It's not Earth, it's not discovery, it's not GPS or adventure. Let's see if somebody can get it. Actually, remember, like as Fiona was just saying, if you don't get it right, it doesn't matter because we're still practicing lots of vocabulary. No, nobody has the answer correct. Yes, Svetlana has got the first one. It was map. Okay, now yes, Svetlana has exactly the answer was map. Okay, should we do another one? Let's do another one. Okay, here we go. So what is my target word? I've got fashion, accessory, waist, right? So around your stomach, waist, tighten, and clothes. Any idea what? Irina Kruk got it in 2 seconds. It was belt. Well done, Irina. It was belt. Okay, right. Very simple game, okay? That's a great warmer. You're transforming your students. They've walked into the classroom. They're thinking about other things. They're joining your online classes. They're thinking about something completely different. They don't really want to think about English. And as Jane was saying, we're kind of changing the whole of the mood of the students, which is extremely important right now. Now, here is another variation. I'm going to do exactly the opposite, okay? I'm going to give you the target word, and I want you to guess any of the 5 words that you would not be able to say if you were going to explain this word. I hope that's clear. So my target word, but on the card, there are 5 words that you cannot say. Please tell me what you think would be amongst the 5 words that you cannot say. My target word is scuba diving. So what can I not say? If I'm trying to explain, water is a nice one. Sea, diving is a good one. Mask is a good idea. Water is a good idea. In fact, actually, some of these, swimming, somebody's just said swimming. Lyubov has just said swimming. That is on my card, okay? Water also appears because it says underwater. Instructor, that would be a good idea. Now, I want to emphasize again that even if your words are not the words on my card, that doesn't mean you're right or you're wrong. If I'm playing this game with my students, every word that they guess is 1 point. And of course, it's impossible to know exactly what 5 words will appear because it's not set in stone. It's not absolutely definitive, my answer. I'll tell you what 5 words appeared on this card that I have. Swimming, fish, underwater, coral reef, and also exploration. Okay, now, my point is, because today, as I say, I'm not here just to give lots of exercises. My point is that I think that teachers, we can transform the mood of our students. We can make them going from passive to active. We can also, and this is a lucky skill with teenagers, we can also transform them from overexcited too calm and focused. So sometimes the students are the opposite. They're too active, they're too loud, they're too noisy, and we need to calm them down to get their attention. So this superpower, I use this activity quite frequently. Column dictations. I tell my students to write 3 columns. We're going to practice some vocabulary. We're going to practice vocabulary for sports. They write down the 3 columns. I dictate a sport like judo, like badminton, like volleyball, like cycling. The students listen and they write them in the column that they think is correct. This activity is almost the opposite of the activity that we've just done before. The students are thinking, the students are listening, the students are writing, the students are working individually. So we have a moment of calm, of focus, and of concentration. And this is what we do. Teachers, we move, we transform the students, we can get them excited, we can get them calm, we can get them focused, and this is one of our superpowers. So this would be a great way to calm your students down after an exciting activity. We can do a similar activity with pronunciation. This is a lovely exercise where we are practicing word stress. So the students, you dictate words to the students, they have to decide if it is column 1, 2, 3, or 4, all depending on the word stress. So if they hear the word happy, they write it in the first column because the first column is words with 2 syllables where the stress is on the first syllable. So my point again is a general point that as teachers, we can get our students really excited. As teachers, we often can also make the students more focused, listening, concentrating, focusing on what they're doing. And this again is another special skill that we have. Now we're talking about superheroes. Peter Parker, okay, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. Peter Parker once said, with great power comes great responsibility, correct? We can also transform our students from happy and relaxed to sad and stressed out. So this superpower, we have to use it carefully. Okay, so sometimes we can get our students far too, we can transform them far too quickly. Here is a way to transform my students. I'm sure you've seen this before. Let's schedule all exams in 1 week. With just this one sentence, we can transform our students from happy young people to sad and stressed out young people. So I think that it is true that as teachers, we really do influence the mood of our students very quickly. We can make them very happy. We can also make them very sad. So we have to be careful with the things that we say and the things that we do. Now, I want to get on. I'm talking about teachers as transformers. The next thing that I want to mention is, I think, the most important thing of all. I think that we can transform our students forever. And I think that, you know, this talk is about teachers' superpowers. And I think that sometimes we underestimate the power that we do have as students, as teachers. We are English teachers, and with our knowledge of English, we really can help our students to an amazing degree. English is not just about teaching grammar and vocabulary. English is not just about teaching strategies. English is about giving the students a life skill that can be so incredibly useful for them. And I do want to mention, and I know that Irina, my lovely friend Irina from Lutsk is out there. And by the way, I have my present from Irina here. But Irina, we're in touch, and very recently she sent me an email. And she said that some of her students who have fled abroad from Ukraine have texted her about how English is helping them right now, and that lots of her students have redefined the importance of education. The reason for giving this talk today about teachers' superpowers is not just to make some jokes, it's to say that we do, in fact, transform the lives of our students in a very meaningful way. Right now, many of your students will be using English, will be realizing the importance of English as a language that somebody said in the text box earlier today, that can actually transform their lives. It can lead to collaboration, it can lead to communication, it can lead to sharing ideas, sharing opinions, sharing thoughts. And really, the job of an English teacher, I do sincerely believe, is one of the most important jobs in the world right now, and especially in your unfortunate circumstances. We can transform the world with our knowledge of English. But teachers, we're not just walking dictionaries, we're not just experts in English, we also have the special powers, skills and techniques to impart that knowledge, to share that knowledge, to facilitate learning with our students so that what we know, our students can learn. Sometimes we talk about native teachers, native speakers. Not all native speakers are great teachers. They know English, but they don't have the special techniques to be able to teach the language. And what all of you out there today, what all of you are doing is exactly that. You've got the English, but you've got all of those skills, techniques, and strategies that you can share that knowledge with other people. And sharing the knowledge of English right now is something that you're doing and is possibly even more important than you even realize and that we have ever realized before. English is a lingua franca that hopefully one day can learn to understanding between the students of today who are the citizens of tomorrow. Apart from teaching skills and techniques, I think we can transform our students' lives by teaching life skills, by teaching thinking skills, by teaching critical thinking. These are not part of an English syllabus, but they are part of such an incredibly useful syllabus for our teenage students. By teaching life skills, we're preparing them for the challenges of life outside the classroom. By teaching critical thinking, we're getting students to be able to question what they see, what they read, what they hear. By getting students into the habit of thinking more deeply, we are changing our students' lives. And I sincerely believe that the job that we do, we're not just teaching English, we're teaching much, much more powerful things. And of course, I hope if you've ever used any editions of Gateway, you'll know that this is something very close to my heart. We are preparing students to use English, but also to go outside into the world. And I think another thing that we can do, that we are doing at the moment, is paying attention to social and emotional learning. Somebody mentioned this earlier this morning. I think it was possibly Jane. Our students don't just need English. They don't just need thinking skills or life skills. They need us to help them to feel better. They need us to help them to face anxiety, to face stressful situations. And again, I just can't think of a situation that could be worse, where your job is so important. You're not just teaching English, you are helping your students as human beings. You're showing empathy, you're teaching them resilience. And even though the situation is bad, I'm sure just by your example, you are just helping them to face the world as it is today. And that is, I think, just an incredible superpower that teachers have. It's not easy, but it's something that we have to do, right? And really connected to the same thing, our example, I think that teachers, we underestimate when we teach younger learners, they are not just looking at us as teachers of English, they are looking at us as human beings who are older, more mature, wiser, more sensible. And the way that we react to every situation, we are being copied, I think. Yeah, Lyubov, I agree exactly. We are giving them examples. We are role models for our students. Just the fact that we care for our students, that our students are suffering, but that we are there for them, I think is so important. And that is our superpower. We are examples. We are role models for our students. And again, you know, I think sometimes these ideas seem, I don't know, utopian, but we do help to transform the world. We do help to shape the future. We do it very slowly. We do it bit by bit. We do it student by student, but we should never underestimate how important that job is. We do help to create a better future. I'm sure that many of you know at the moment the UN Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals to transform our world. These are very high expectations. They are very ambitious. They are slightly utopian. But, you know, who would disagree that it's important that we have quality education? Number 4. Who would deny that gender equality is an incredibly important thing in the world? Who would deny that number 13, climate action, is urgent? And who could possibly deny that number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, is something that we have to aim for? As I said before, in our classrooms right now, some of your students will be influential people in the future. They will be leaders, they will be working in industry, which is important. They will be working for ministries, they will be doing all kinds of important jobs. We are helping to create the future. It's not easy, it's not done immediately, but I do believe sincerely that we are aiding to create a better future. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit silly again, just to lighten the mood. But Svetlana, thank you for your words. Thank you. They mean a lot to me. Anyway, some more amazing superpowers of teachers. Teachers have the incredible superpower that we can travel through space and time at lightning speeds. In the chat box, can you just tell me, did you know that you have this power? Yes or no? Are you aware that you have this power? Do you all have it, do you think, or not? Olga thinks no. Svetlana thinks yes. Okay, I'm going to explain. Yes, we can through travel in space and time. Look, this was a picture from 1930. Okay, and this is what we're doing right now. Okay, it is possible, because we've got this amazing technology that I'm sure is helping you right now. Now, I'm very old. I've been teaching for 35 years. If somebody had told me that this was possible, this looked like science fiction, right? That you've got the professor in the university and he's sending out these lessons to people who are in their homes. And that's what we're doing, right? We can do all of these things. We can travel across cities in milliseconds. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm here in Madrid and I'm talking to you who are in Ukraine and spread around, and we're all together. So that is a superpower, right? We can be at home and speak to our students who are in a classroom. We can be in a classroom and speak to our students who are at home. We can do all sorts of mixtures. We can have hybrid lessons. We can even record videos, and our students can watch them again. They can sort of see them anywhere they like, any way they like. Lyubov, it's true, it's the power of the internet, not really ours. But, well, I'll come to that in a second. You're right, but maybe you're not completely right. Maybe it is also our superpower too. I'll explain why, okay? More superpowers. I am actually a big fan of superheroes and Spider-Man and the Avengers. One of our superpowers is that we know, exactly the same as the Hulk and Captain America and Thor, we know that each superhero is powerful when they are on their own, but they are more powerful when they are together. And I think that one of the great things about teachers is that we are stronger together. Unity is the strength of teachers. And I would like to suggest to you today that a good example of this is this conference. It was organized by Macmillan Poland, Macmillan Ukraine. Immediately, we were more than happy to get involved with this. And we've got hundreds of teachers and we're all together. And why? Well, because we know that by sharing ideas, by listening to one another, by caring about one another, we help each other. I still remember when we went into lockdown the first time, I was not a specialist in Zoom or online teaching. The very first moment I went online and I could find webinars, I could find talks, I could find sessions where people were explaining how to use this technology. So when you have said before, the power is technology, not ours, it's also amazing that we managed to learn this together. And we did it by helping one another. And again, what a great example for our students, because we know that if we help one another, we can learn more. And we also know that when our students work together, they can also learn more. So I think that this superpower is just coming together as a group of superheroes. And again, ever expanding brains. Teachers are amazing because they never stop learning. And you can tell me in the chat box if you think that's true. I have been teaching for 35 years and I have never stopped learning. We can learn how to teach online. I've learned a few activities today from Fiona's session. I've learned a great lesson from Jane with her power stance, which I think is really important, that, you know, just raising energy levels. Every teacher continues learning all of the time. And I think that teachers, especially English teachers, are very special in this sense that we never stop learning. Jane made a really important point this afternoon in her session about growth mindset. Isn't that important? We believe that we can change. We believe that we can get better. We can believe that we can learn more things. And we pass that attitude on to our students. And this is one of our superpowers, that we keep on learning. We keep, even when we think we know everything, we know that we don't, and we know that we can still learn more things. And I think that's a great example for our students out there. Eternal youth, another superpower of teachers, okay? We remain eternally young. Now, I am not young, but I feel young because every day I am looking at the energy of my students. They're teenagers. Sometimes they're rebellious. Sometimes they're cheeky. But I love that. I love it because it gives me energy. It keeps me young. I will always be young as long as I am in the classroom. I know all about K-pop. I know about TikTok. I know some of the new expressions that teenagers use. I know who is like famous at the moment. I know the best Netflix series, and it's all thanks to my students who keep me young, okay? And I'm sure you feel the same, okay? I know that I'm not young, but I feel young, and it's thanks to my students. Now, the next superpower is a strange one, okay? The next superpower is invisibility. A lot of people think invisibility is a great superpower. This is where I'm gonna get a little bit angry, but also a little bit optimistic. Teachers are invisible sometimes. Teachers are forgotten sometimes. Teachers are so important, but people don't always see us. Society does not always see us. There are times when people just take us for granted. And I think that's wrong. I think that we are such important people that we should be noticed. At the same time, we do not do this job to be noticed. Yubov, that's a great expression, invisible influences. What a great expression. I love it. We are often invisible, and I think that that's a terrible thing. However, during the pandemic, I think that some people suddenly realized how important teachers are and how important education is. And right now, I just want to tell you that I don't know if you know this or not, but you are not invisible, okay? That you guys in Ukraine are not invisible. I'm just going to show you This is from Saturday from the Guardian newspaper. Children back in school after cleanup in traumatized Ukrainian village in Novyi Bikiv. It's a very interesting article explaining how teachers are back in the classroom, students are back in the classroom in such a terrible situation, and how important it is. So you are not invisible. People are paying attention to you. The Ukrainians teaching in war zone. Again, a very powerful article from The Guardian. You are in the news in the UK, in Spain, around the world. People are appreciating that education is important, as my quotation from Irina Kruk also was telling you, that people are realizing how important education is. At moments like this, which are so tragic, you are not invisible. And I think that it's important that you know that. I'm coming to the end of my talk. Another superpower that we have is multiplicity. So the multiplicity is being lots of different things at the same time. This is one of our amazing superpowers. Look at this. This is the perfect teacher. And I think you would agree, or at least you will laugh when you see this picture. What is a perfect teacher? Well, a perfect teacher doesn't just have one superpower, they have lots of superpowers. They are very intelligent, they are very funny, they are good presenters, they are good at explaining, they are researchers, they do experiments, they are like police officers and referees. We have so many different tasks, and this is what we do. Teachers do all of these things at the same time. I find this quite a funny little cartoon here. Sometimes I like to treat myself at work and just do one thing at a time. Oh, wait, I'm a teacher. Teachers have to do everything at the same time. Maybe if you're working in an office, you can be unhappy and sad and gloomy. Teachers have to be happy. By the way, that's why the penguin was there. The penguin was there for happy feet. So we have to be happy, we have to be relaxed, even when we don't feel relaxed. So that's what we do as teachers, all of those different roles at the same time. Exactly, Lyubov, happy feet dancer, that's right. Now, it is true, we're superheroes. Some people think that we can do miracles. Now, I love collecting these headlines. Look at this. This is in Spanish, okay, but I'm sure you understand. It says English in 100 days. That sounds like a miracle, right? English in 100 days. But the other day I saw another advert, which was English in 21 days. That is a miracle too, right? We can not, I think, teach English in just 3 weeks. But I even found a book that says learn English in 7 days. Okay, so I think you would agree that that is slightly exaggerating our superpowers. We do have superpowers, but maybe our superpowers are not quite that strong. So what I would like to end with is saying that teachers, we could use the expression, which I'm sure many of you know, teachers, the difficult we do immediately, the impossible just takes a little longer. So I'd like to leave you with that thought. I think the job that we do is so important. The job that you are doing right now is so important. Sometimes when we're so busy with every day that we're teaching, we tend to forget the picture, the bigger picture. I think the bigger picture is that teachers are doing an incredible job. Do take care, do keep up with your superpowers. If anybody ever wants to get in touch with me, I hope you know that I'm on Facebook at Teach with Dave or Facebook Gateway. Do contact me, and I wish you all the very, very, very best of luck.
David, thank you very much. I'm trying to find the words to express all the feelings I have, and I'm sure that all the teachers here who are with us right now feel the same. You are really, really inspiring teacher and inspiring author. Thank you very much, and hope to have you as many times as it is possible to have you.
Thank you very much, Gina. Thank you, and best of luck to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.